Record. Right. Welcome, everybody. Hope everybody is well. You just hide my camera, and then there we go. Right, we've got everything here. What I will do, yeah, I'm just gonna hide the chat for a bit, and then obviously I'll go through some stuff, and then obviously, yeah, we can obviously have a look. This was a crypto that was recommended to me. It's called APT. But obviously, I'm not investing in any crypto. I'm just monitoring it right now. Apparently, it's an alternative to the Ethereum network, APT. So it's worth just keeping an eye on. And also ARB. ARB is also another one, but obviously it's way off crypto. Do you know what? I'm actually even scared at the moment to invest in Bitcoin. So I actually sold mine. Um, because I've just got this weird feeling. Just got this weird feeling. But anyway. Right, let's just let everybody in. Sorry, I've got a few more. There we go. Right, so let's get started. One thing that I wanted to go through tonight. Jerome Powell had his speech, typical. He was, let's go with the positives. He's happy with jobs. All right. So he's happy with the labor market. He is also happy. Well, he's not happy, but inflation is higher than they want it, but not as high as expected, whatever that means. Like that means nothing, right? It's higher than he wanted, but it's not as high as they expected. So yeah. So basically, all in all, he's obviously not in a rush to reduce interest rates either. So it was a pretty good speech for the dollar. And obviously we've got Labour, uh, very heavily Labour week this week. So that's obviously the things that I took from it. As you can see here, Wednesday we got some ADP non-farm employment change. Excuse me. And then we've got on Friday, well, Thursday we got jobs data, and Friday we got jobs data. But obviously Friday the expectation was because NAS non-farm payroll was terrible. So yeah, I mean, I can't see the dollar, stopping. So let's wait and see. But the big one that I wanted to speak about is the yen intervention, and I did go over this on Sunday, yesterday. Why does it feel like we're already halfway through the week? Not sure why. So obviously, if we can breach this 160, all right, it will mean that yen has not been at this price, all right, since pretty much I was born. All right, so that's a long time ago. 1986. All right, that's how long ago yen was at this height. Now, what we will notice, and we obviously can't control it. Yen are big importers. They import everything. All right, energy, everything. So obviously they cannot let the yen get too cheap, too out of hand because it costs them too much. So what they do is they intervene by heavily buying their own currency. All right. We can't control these moves here. Look how small all of these moves are. Wham. It happens a lot. They obviously have to control it, and it's a bit of a difficult time at the moment. But look at this move here. I think it's like 8 hours. Let me go back to that. There we go. So we'll go back here, and then we'll see. I think it was like a 2 hour candle, something crazy. The move here, mad. So 6 hours here, like 300 pips, which is crazy. All right, no one knows when it's gonna happen. Well, I'm sure obviously some people know when it's gonna happen, but obviously no one really knows. If I had to hazard a guess, I'd hazard a guess that it will happen here. But obviously they can only drive it down so far, right? But obviously what it normally acts as is a bit of a chain reaction. They're gonna let dollar exhaust, which it's obviously looking potentially like we could, if I move this one up, we could bump up into so 101 seems crazy, right? 101. I mean, dollar, if we look at dollar's not been this high since May last year. So, yeah, it's just crazy. But obviously, I do think if dollar probably breaches this 101, that's when they're going to look to intervene. So let's wait and see what happens here. But obviously, it's one thing that we need to be aware of, but it's one thing that we can't control. So any yen pair that you're trading, what will happen? It will happen during a quiet time, so it won't happen busy time. It won't happen when news comes out. Nothing like that. It'll be a quiet time, probably Asia, late Asia, and then just they'll just load up, and obviously it will shift and it will cause a nice chain reaction, and should obviously send yen tumbling a bit. But normally, from what I've seen, we have a sharp tail off. It comes up and retests, and then potentially might have this move. That is what is coming. Like I said, we obviously can't control it. But yeah. Is there any reason it went to 101 in May? I cannot remember what happened last year, but it would have been something. Was it? Yeah, I, I I'd have to go back and have a look through it. So that's obviously what I would have to do. But obviously, yes, some kind of news and happened. I cannot remember what happened, but obviously we had a massive gap up, 650 pips, which is crazy. Yeah, probably was a Trump tweet. Maybe not that much for a Trump tweet. That's a bit crazy. That is a bit mad. But yeah, let's wait and see. We've got some obviously exciting times. Right, I'm gonna go through this afternoon. While I'm going through, get questions ready. It's an open kind of session. So ask me any question. I'm obviously happy to answer it and or obviously go through it. But obviously going through today or this afternoon, more importantly, obviously dollar has pumped heavy. Let me go back to where we are. There we go. Pumped heavy, clearing 100, 500. Not cleanly yet. It's not cleared it clean. We've had two rejections. I'd say a messy candle here on the 2 hour. It's not rejected cleanly, which is quite interesting. But obviously, it's very, very strong. Yields, on the other hand, tumbling, but not tumbling out of control. Remember, we're still in an uptrend as long as this level here holds, right? So that's obviously what we need to be aware of here. We're still in an uptrend. Like we always say, what goes up must come down to go back up, to come down to go back up. Yeah. All right. So this here, it's not broken trend. It's still trending to the upside. I've had lots of messages on yields today. No need to worry or panic. It is when yields, well, we don't need to worry or panic anyway. But obviously, it's when yields start to break, that is obviously when we'll change our kind of direction, And obviously, this is the other thing, yields driving to the upside, leading into yen is going to weaken yen, so that's obviously another thing that we need to be aware of. If yields were obviously up at this height, dollars trending up too, that's going to encourage them even more to obviously cut. So yeah. How can dollar be going up while yields are coming down? Remember, yields are big money, all right, coming in. And obviously, look at what else has not been doing too bad today, stock market wise, had a nice pump, but obviously has dumped off this afternoon. But obviously, what are these US companies? What are they trading in US dollars? So it doesn't necessarily go that yields fly, dollar flies. Remember, everything's completely different. So And obviously everything works in different tandems, and obviously money flows, into the different assets at any time. It seems like today it's been flowing into the dollar, and it's been flowing into yen. All right. So, but obviously dollar is outweighing yen pretty heavy because it's still gained its ground, but obviously, not quite recovering from Asia. So sorry. Yeah, so yeah, just goes to show those have been the two powerhouses. Remember, all you've got to identify, and I know it sounds easy, is where money is, flowing. All right, for that day. And obviously, nine times out of 10, if it's strong, it will continue. Because obviously that the Asian does dictate. Look, I'm gonna apologize now. I'm not that tired, but I just keep yawning. All right. I'm not even sure why. Right, Alex, in the over. Sorry, I'm going to do it again. There we go. Right. In the overall picture, over the last 8 to 12 months, is now a difficult time to trade your strategy, or does this war geopoliticals? No, no, not at all. It's been brilliant. I can go through it here, 8 to 12 months. Let's go 8 to 12 months. I go through it day on, day out. Right. The trouble is, no one looks at history. They don't care about history. They care about the today or tomorrow. That's it. All right. What you've got to look at is historical data. All right. And this is the crazy thing too. I'm going to go a bit off piste here. All right. But obviously, what nobody who starts trading realizes. All right. And I didn't realize it either. Probably took me 4 years to realize this. All right. All you need is 12 months profitable history. All right. And if you can make, I reckon if you can make 5 to 10% every month minimum for 12 months, all right, I could probably recommend 10 people who would want to invest in you as a trader. All right. But no one realizes that. Everyone's trying to make 200%, 100% this month, next month. They're trying to rush it. All right. There is a queue, and I promise you it's easy because I've done it, but no one thinks about the long-term picture. All right. So all you need, and it does, sound easy. It's not easy. It's quite hard. But obviously, if you tick it over, and you grow it, 12 months history, minimum sort of 5%, monthly, up to, whatever, all anyone needs to be given is confidence, but also more importantly with you. All right. So I'm glad. I know this is completely off topic here, Alex, but it's true. If you can even keep your own account for 3 months, 6 months, no redeposits, all right, you're going to be so confident. Then after 12 months, you will then, I always use the same scenario to anyone who wants to be a, full-time trader is if I told you to put everything you own, your house, your watch, your, mum's house, your dad's house, everything, you know, um, you you put all of that into a trading account. Do you trust yourself with it? All right. And until the answer is yes, you still want to be taken over, but don't change, strategies. Well, once your strategy works, you might have to tweak it slightly to be more aggressive or less aggressive. I tend to be less aggressive Mondays, Tuesdays, but then obviously I'll start to obviously be a bit more aggressive throughout the week. So for example, on a uh tomorrow, all right, normally, if we've had a good solid day today, I don't need to up aggression very much, but obviously I probably will because, what am I expecting? All right, we haven't had any trades. All right, I've had one trade come out in a tiny bit of profit. That's it. Or two trades come out in a tiny bit of profit. But obviously, because of that, I'm going to be a bit more aggressive tomorrow. But yeah, we're in strange times here, and I'll explain. I've only got to show the gold chart here, right? If I show the daily gold chart, right, look how easy gold has been to trade over from 2024. All right, you got the whole of 2024 here. Right, it's not pulled back much, not pulled back much at all. All you've had to do the last 2 years is buy gold. All right, that's it. And all these gold experts, coming out. I'm gold trader John and gold trader Alex and whatever. It's been easy. All right, you can make a career off this. I'm the best. I'm the best in the world. Just buy it. All right, it's not been hard. However, look at this year. All right, this is this year here. All right. It's been hard, right? This is very, very hard. We've got all-time highs. We've taken out this year. All right, because the 1st of January was this candle here, right? So this one here. That was the 1st of January. All right, we broke that, now obviously that's holding. All right, but no one's confident now to buy it. All right, because it's tricky. All right, everything's hard. Nothing's flowing. Like even today, you know, right? We've got the direction right both times. Right, no one actually takes on board. All right, you've got to take the positives even when you're not in a trade that right, you know what, it didn't quite come back, but I got the direction spot on and I got it right in the morning and I got it right in the afternoon. Getting the direction right is half of the issue. All right. But obviously we have had no pullbacks here, there's no, sometimes it's trending, sometimes it's not. Price action is hard. So I do feel for anyone coming into the trading space right now because it is very, very hard compared to obviously what it has been. Andy, what are your thoughts on gold given dollar up, yields down, and oil up? I still, I think if gold was gonna pump, it's gonna take both dollar and yields to drop for gold to obviously pump. But I think because oil is the denominating commodity, from this war, and obviously the longer it goes on, what happens to oil, right? The price of oil goes up, right? So I actually think oil, I think this war needs to end, all right? It's a war about oil. All right, so the longer it goes on, the higher the price of oil goes up. They can't let it go up this high. It's going to be too expensive for everyone. And Iran know that. Everyone knows that. Even Trump knows that. So that's why gold, normally gold would be the denominator, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, you know, um, most big events are um you know gold is going to be the driver, but not this one because oil is the commodity of choice. It's the gold, that everyone's after. So obviously until this war's over, it's going to be oil. That's the common denominator. John, could you please state before you place the trades whether you are placing a midpoint only or all three? I did say that both times today. So yeah, Alex, thank you. I understand. That's what I wanted to hear. I believe the long term, even in current weeks, are a bit harder. Yeah. Greg, when you say you're going to be more aggressive, does that mean in the way to set entries and stops or deciding? So I will 100% be doing multiple entries tomorrow, and then I just have a look to see. So what I normally do, right, is I'm eyeing everything up. um Actually, what I've done today, they're being edited tomorrow. I've done three videos, so I'm going to be doing more education. I'm going to be putting it out on YouTube. But obviously, yeah. So I'm deciding obviously how aggressive I want to be by this area. All right. But as it happened, if we look to say if we go on the hourly, all right. So if we look at, so let's let this person in. If we look at this here, so we got in here, right? We got in around here. Let's call it here. All right. Let's go on a 30 minute and then we can see. So let me delete this. Right. We've entered here. Hub plus one has been here, right? Yeah. So Hub plus one's here. All right. That's when we've laid everything out. Now I could have gone a bit more aggressive and gone here, but because it's a Monday, I wanted a bit more of a pullback. It's been very, very slow. Yeah, as you can see here, price didn't really move much during, London. It wouldn't have mattered where you'd have placed a trade, buy or sell on euro. You wouldn't have lost out because it's not moved anywhere. All right, but obviously it did move US. We were just hoping for that kind of nice pop up, test these highs here, and then the follow through to the downside. Now, obviously, that's not happened, so me being more aggressive, yes, is entering the three trades, and will also be I'll probably drop my entries down slightly, so they're obviously a little bit more aggressive. Yeah. I wish I would be a good gold trader. Gold Alex is a great name. Yeah, no, gold. Look, e- everyone's a gold master. All right, gold's hard, all right, and you've got to understand that. And actually, do you know what? The more I speak to everyone, the more I kind of look at everything. The more, the more I kind of, you know, the more I kind of look at gold as, probably what everyone's problem is one is they don't close. All right, if you're in a loss on gold, you want to swallow it because any trade, all right, any trade at all, we could, if we look back at history, right? Let's have a look here. Okay, right. If we're buying everything on, say, every time it hits this 200 EMA, right? We're going to buy here, we're going to buy here, we're going to buy here, all right? We're going to do really well here, really well here, really well here. We'll buy here, we'll hit our target, we'll buy here, we'll hit our target, all right? It doesn't matter how good a strategy is, it's going to lose, all right, at some point, right? And I will show you the point it's going to lose. So if you're doing this and you've won here, right? You've won here and you've won here, right? You are smashing. You're thinking, yeah, you know what? Every time it's easy. What do you do? As soon as it hits here, you're going to buy, right? But if price reverses and changes trend, this trade here loses, all right? Now, what probably 80% of people do, and obviously we continue then, and then all you have to do is change direction, all right? Same strategy, just change direction. What everybody does, they don't close this one out. They add, they add, they add, they add, they add. And gold will not, if I delete all of this rubbish now, so if we delete all of this, all right, you can see here, all right, say you'd have bought, and I know people who bought here and held, all right, but if you'd have bought here, all right, where's your pullback? There is no pullback here, all right, and this is the trouble with gold, all right, you will just continue. This might pop up, but it's not enough for you to come out, and then it slams down another what it come back up to here and then it slammed down another 6,500 pips. All right, you've got no backup. Now, why I personally like currencies as opposed to commodities is because one, it's quite slow, and this takes longer. All right, but you always, apart from obviously some scenarios, you'll always get a chance. All right, because it trends. currencies trend. Gold has its own mind, its own beast. It doesn't trend. Alex, do you think it's possible to code your strategy into an EA? No, because I've made it where it does need that human decision. I am that EA. You know how I look at trading is so boring, right? And I really want to. That's why I've started playing around with gold. I've done, I've messed about last week just because but I want a bit of fun during the day, so yeah, I've started some smaller, obviously, intraday trades. But obviously, yes, why my strategy works is it's very, very rigid, and it's my routine. It's very, very boring. So I'm up at 6:30. I've prepped, I've posted, everything's there, done. Don't change my, mind, win or lose. That's it. Afternoon, same time, same thing. Don't change my mind. Same pairs. I don't deviate and go on to GBP, JPY, USD CAD, CAD, JPY, GBP, AUD. I don't even think about that. All these things I used to think about. If gold wasn't working, I'd go to silver. If silver wasn't working, I'd go to oil. If oil wasn't working, I'd go back to Euro USD. And I didn't get that fluid rhythm. So, I am the EA, because I act, like my kind of, saying, trade like a human, act like a robot. All right. James, do USD pairs normally trade opposite to gold using your strategy? No, not they do, but obviously not always. Gold, like I'd said, has got a mind of its own. Um, Google allegedly said May. Yes, it was tariffs. So that's obviously why. Well done, Jules, for looking that up. Jack, thoughts on your gold copier? I haven't done anything. I just obviously floated the idea out there. So I'd have to do some work on this. Would tomorrow not be super cautious given the last day of the month? No, most things happen on a Friday. So it would have, if anything major was going to happen, it would have happened on Fridays. It isn't going to happen on a random Tuesday. When do you think you're going to close the gold trade of today? I haven't got a gold trade. This was all just marked up, so it didn't actually trigger. It was close. If I show you here, but obviously, yeah, we didn't trigger this afternoon. Um, so we were here. There we go. Fourth, yeah. So we were here. As you can see here, with the aggressive model, we were probably, yeah, like 60 pips out. Just wanted it to pop into this, zone here. Um, Graham, consistency is key. Yes, it is. It is. It always is. So, Alex, um, sorry, Alex. I mean, if we apply this strategy consistently, it can get us all out. I'm a member since 2 months, and I regret not to be a part of it. Thank you. Look, you know what? The idea is that, yeah, well, obviously, what I try and do is I try and think about, and this is where I've sort of edited my strategy a bit. Lots of it I've worked obviously with some obviously hedge fund owners. They have helped me, but what I think it does, one, it takes out over trading. All right, because everything's pre-planned. All right, rather than me waiting for a candle, because let's face it, most of you, if you saw this gold candle here, you're going to start to sell here, stops here, but then you're going to panic and chances are you're going to close out here. All right. But if you've pre-planned everything, and obviously I'm all about pre-planning, all right, we want to make sure that market is doing what we want it to do. So yeah, it's that's obviously that's what I like, so obviously one thing is pre-planning, right? Next thing is routine, all right? And I know I bang on about this all the time, but obviously routine is key, so you want to be trading, same times. I always like to I like to, make sure that I've got some free time. Otherwise, there's no point me trading because if I'm locked into my, and obviously lots of us are, and lots of us still are, especially when you're in a bad trade, which maybe you'd have, stopped out. You don't speak to anyone. You lock yourself away. Your partner speaks to you. You are miserable. And of course it's because you're just watching, hoping, praying this trade's going to come back so you can close out. And it probably comes back, if we're honest, 20% of the time. Probably 80% of the time it's going to stop us out. But we just like that 6 hours of pain, misery, hope. Everyone starts praying, because they just want it to come back. You won't do things. You won't have a drink again. You won't swear at someone. You won't do anything. That's what comes out. And obviously, we've got to obviously swallow it. So yeah, my strategy stops obviously, like I mentioned, chopping and changing pairs, chopping and changing time frames. I do one time frame. I pre-plan everything. We do trend macros, and then we obviously work out how aggressive we want to enter. That's it. And it just keeps everything rigid because the more boring your trading is. I always speak about this. My trading, when I wasn't profitable, it was so much more fun. I could be up a grand in the morning or I'd have blown my account. It was one or the other, but it was a great roller coaster until I blew it, and then it was miserable. So I'd be scraping and doing stupid stuff. I mean, I'd sold stuff to fund my trading account. It's like you're an addict, and I know it's horrible, but it's true, and I like I said, my story was I was doing a job, because I used to have a construction company, which I rinsed, because I just loved trading. I wanted to do it. I wanted to make it work. I liked my company, but I didn't love it, you know, and I lost so much money. And luckily, and this was about 8, 9 years ago. I basically worked at this guy's house. He was used to work at a hedge fund. He had all these screens up, and I asked him, "What'd you do?" I'm a trader. I poured my heart out. I stayed there all day. Obviously, I didn't charge him, but stayed there all day. And he was going through, and he goes, "Look, look, you." You know plenty, which I've been doing it for 4 years, then 5 years. He goes, you know plenty, but he goes, your trouble is, you're obviously trying to make the money back that you've lost, which is for anyone who's had a 1-to-1, that's one of the things which comes out, and yeah, he basically set me such a strict thing, and it was like my final, saloon where and he goes, if you break these rules, I will not work with you. And I had to make like something stupid like 3% monthly. And then when I made 3%, I stopped. I had certain pairs, I had certain times, blah, 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 blah. But after 12 months, I was in such a good routine. I just went for it. And then he had a friend he recommended. They put some money in an account. And obviously, that was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. They put some money in an account. And obviously, I traded that. We did quite well, and then I had a break, and then obviously I'm on this account here. So that's obviously the kind of story. But if I told anyone with a grand, make 3% for 12 months, you tell me that's easy because 3% a month. What's that, like 30 quid? Yeah. You're gonna laugh at me, be like, that is easy. But actually, 3% monthly, that's 36% a year. That outperforms, most hedge funds. But yeah, but yeah, that's kind of my story. James, how do you decide on the zone for entry? So basically, I'm gonna do a course on this. Or I might offer it one-to-ones. But in essence, all right, because this is my kind of Coca-Cola recipe. But obviously, in essence, roughly, I'm just looking at. I've already identified the direction. All right, before I've even looked at this chart. Right, before I look at Euro USD, GBP USD, AED USD, USD JPY. I already know which way I'm going to take them. All right, from looking at dollar yields, stocks, macros. All right, that's the first thing because everyone will come on here. All right, everyone, and me too, looks at a chart and you'll be so confused because you'll be like, right, you know what? I'm here on this time frame. It's looking good. On the daily, do you know what? We might reject this level here, or we could even reject this level here. But if I go on a 30-minute, we're in a downtrend, so we could come up and hit this level here, But obviously, you know what? There's support here. There's major support here. So I might buy from here, and then maybe I'll sell from. Do you know what I mean? It's so confusing because there are rhymes and reasons for everything, right? So I'll identify before where I want price, well, which direction I'm going to take it. All right. Then, using obviously the EMAs, the dollar, yields, yeah, stocks, and macros. Then it's all about how aggressive. All right, you'll be surprised. Even something like GBP AUD here, right? If we look at this, we're in. Probably would argue I would still be in a bit of an uptrend here. Right? You can see an uptrend. That's the main thing. We don't have to, look at, macros or anything here. Can see an uptrend here. It's definitely this would be our bottom here. All right. So what would I then do? And obviously I haven't traded GBP AUD for ages, right? So we're technically in an uptrend as long as we're above here, as long as the 50 EMA's above the 200, right? Yeah, I got two EMAs. I got 50 and the 200, right? So I'm just looking to buy. Yeah. Now, if I'm looking to buy, all right, am I looking, where am I gonna be from here? We got a few scenarios here. You might be want to be ultra aggressive and do something like this. You might want to be a little bit less aggressive and maybe do something like this, right? Or what I do lots of the time is I'll go in between, right? Because it's nice and easy. All right. I mean, there's a little bit more to it, but I'm showing you the basics. All right, so I would then wait for price to come down into this area. And obviously, depending on how aggressive I want to be, I might be top, middle, bottom, or I might just be, middle here. All right. And obviously, then I'll be thinking, right, you know what, I'll set this up, stop loss below here, because I'm going to want, because I'm going to want trend to have to change for me to obviously enter, and then take profit might be here, So that's roughly how I would do it. But obviously, there's a few things that I add in. I always looking for demand and supply zones to reject. I'm looking for trend to continue. All right, whichever way, and I'm looking at places where orders are going to going to be placed. I don't trade ICT. I don't believe in it. I love love that everyone, I mean, now that there's reasons behind it, but obviously I love that the ICT community, and I'm not, mocking anyone, think that institutions target retails, stop losses because, and I'm going to explain why. And obviously, when I explain this, you'll understand. I don't knock, ICT. Lots of it is good. I just mock the idea of it. All right, because majority, I'd say 90% of the retail market don't even trade in the open market anyway. Your broker keeps your trades in-house, all right? Or what do most ICT traders trade? What are they promoting? Funded accounts, simulated accounts. So what retail traders are the institutions targeting? They're not targeting any because there's none in the open market. So it's just that's the crazy thing. But obviously, I do agree. There's lots of things. I think if you understand ICT to a beginner's level, it's going to help you. But I wouldn't push it anymore because you're always going to be looking for, FVGs and dead displacements, and yeah, it's just, I don't believe in it. But obviously, I love how they've marketed it. I love how they've brainwashed everyone because it's just very, very clever that they're like, we are trading where the institutions are. We know, we know. Truth is, nobody knows. They don't even know half the time. So, so it's because if they knew there'd be one institution, there wouldn't be, lots of them. So, yeah. But that's my little dig into ICT. But yeah, well, now everyone can laugh now. Whenever you hear an ICT trader saying that they're taking out retail here, then you just know they have got no clue what they are talking about. That sentence here makes me laugh every time. They're targeting retail. They're targeting us. Even though I'm trading on an FTMO, which is a simulated account, they're targeting me. Anyway, it is what it is. Could you reveal um um, could you reveal the candle theory someday? I would love to hear that. Yeah, I'm like in the middle of writing it, and then I stop, and then I write it, and then I stop. But yes, can candles trading view. MetaTrader has been trading for us, so yeah, well, they've been developed. It's colorful, it's fun, it's gamified. It's been created for obviously the retail market. Alex, haha, I've taken out retail. Damn, give me my money back, guru. How is your trading strategy named? I don't know. Basically I haven't named it. But I had a plan of what I wanted to do, and then I've tweaked it. Obviously, like I'd said, I wanted to at the beginning of last year. My goal was to have meetings with hedge fund workers. Luckily enough, I had meetings with two hedge fund owners. Cost me a lot of money, but obviously, they obviously helped me. That's why the basket method. I'd like that idea because obviously a hedge fund trades like a basket, and obviously they've got multiple things obviously which they've invested in, and then yeah, it's yeah, it's they obviously hedge theirs dependent on it to keep their investors happy. We can't quite trade like that because obviously we're intraday trading, but obviously, yeah, we can obviously utilize that. I think what I've identified as well is what everyone struggles with closing, losing positions. Everyone struggles with over trading. So obviously, what I've wanted to do is implement things that will cut that out. And obviously, I think we achieve it pretty well. And obviously, I don't want to over trade. I enjoy my time. I enjoy taking my children to school. I enjoy going to a maths breakfast this morning. I've got a band show tomorrow evening. I enjoy all these things. I like to go away. I like to go out with my partner for food. I don't want to be glued. And obviously I've got no interest in you guys being glued to the charts either. I want everyone to utilize trading as the tool it is to take a certain amount of money out that you want depending on your account size every day that's reasonable or most days, and then obviously you can capitalize. No, it's my daughter. She plays guitar. So yeah, what is the boot camp topic? I haven't thought about it yet. I might do it slightly differently. So basically, my eldest daughter has to do some charity work. She's doing her Duke of Edinburgh, so I'm going to mold the boot camps in to try and help her out a bit. So she's going to help me. So we're going to work on it. I'm going to have to think about it. It won't be this week. It'll be next week. So that's one thing that I'm going to have a think about it. That's one thing that I'm gonna have a think about. Probably might do a bit of a blend, but I'll do some polls to obviously see what everyone wants to obviously hear and wants to obviously learn more about. Andy, should lot size go up as your pot basket grows? I wouldn't increase it instantly, all right? And I think this is a mistake that everyone makes is the more your account balance goes up, the more you kind of increase instantly and you're sticking with the risk you've got rather than obviously letting your account balance grow but trading the same, and then that technically lowers risk. Yeah. So obviously that's one thing. Just do it slower. But obviously, yeah, speak to me, message me afterwards, and obviously I'll be able to help you. It's no problem. You're the first trader I met. I like to see something different. Thank you. Right, I'm probably going to end this here because I've got to get the kids into bed. Hopefully the kitchen's not burnt down because one of them's making cookies. So let's wait and see. But no, have a great evening, everyone. Appreciate it. I enjoy these question and answer ones. I like it when it's a bit interactive. It's good. Yeah. So have a great evening, and yeah, let's smash it tomorrow. We're going to turn up aggression a bit more. So have a good one, guys. Have a good one.